Hi, how are you? Welcome to the Etiquette e Protocolo channel. I'm Juliana Santiago, and in today's video, we're going to talk a little more about how you can apply etiquette in your family and also in your daily home life. Many times we believe that etiquette is a practice just for adults, right? That only adults should know about it, research it, and learn a little more about it. But I assure you that if you start using the practices I show you here on the channel and also through our courses at the Institute of Etiquette and Protocol, this will definitely be passed on to the children in your home, the children you live with. This is a natural process. There's no use. Many times when children grow up, we realize that they could be a little more polite, a little kinder with the processes to show respect, consideration, if throughout the education process we don't work on this within our home. So today I brought some practices for you to adopt in your home that will certainly make a big difference for you to lead and introduce etiquette processes into your family's daily life. The first point is really this: you need to be the example in your home, not just for the children, but also for the adults who live with you. If you want to be treated with affection, attention, consideration, and respect, which are practices that modern etiquette talks so much about, why do you treat the people in your home without applying this every day? Especially in the case of children, in this process of truly educating them, it is essential that we use the famous magic words. In a previous video on the channel, I discussed the 10 worst etiquette mistakes. The link is below for you to watch next. I've already seen it. And one of the main mistakes that you followers of our school who follow us on social media mentioned was the lack of people using words like please, thank you, excuse me, sorry, and asking for permission. Many times, right, when a child enters a place, someone else's house, they come in out of control and don't ask. For example, like, please, I would like to play with this object. That's not being overly sensitive or anything like that. This isn't about limiting your child's autonomy. It's simply about helping them navigate situations in any environment with anyone. So introduce these values into your home. Be the example as well, in the sense that when you enter the elevator with your child, greet the neighbors and encourage your child to greet them too. The people, the building's doorman, the neighbor, the people who walk by him. This, little by little, becomes a habit for the child, and she will develop as she gets older. This whole process is built over time, and she becomes a polite child, a child who respects others, a child who is considerate of others. Another thing you should apply in your home, which I suggest you do, is to talk while looking into each other's eyes. This creates a very important connection. One of the big mistakes in our society nowadays is the lack of eye contact. How many times do we try to talk to someone and realize they're not paying attention to us? So encourage eye contact when you're talking to your child, when you're talking to your husband, with the people who live in your home, with your wife, anyway. Every time you're interacting with someone, make sure you're visually connected with that person. Even for the child to understand what you're saying, to receive your affection, to receive your love, to receive the generosity that you have and nurture with your child, it's important that they make this eye contact with you. And certainly when you encourage this at home in your daily life, in the process of raising a child until they become an adult, as they grow up, this becomes a habit within them because they will always be your mirror. So encourage eye contact with the people in your home. It's not enough to just encourage these aspects with the children. The relationships between the people in that family, the adults who live in that home, they really need to be strengthened in the way I'm talking about here. Because it's no use just treating your child with affection, teaching them the magic words, or even teaching eye contact, or even the other practices I'm going to talk about in this video, if you with your partner simply ignore them and treat them really badly. So this example, these connections, they have to be nurtured in the daily life of the whole family. Still talking about building connection, I wanted to tell you about the importance of good conversations. Have you been talking with the people who live in your home? Have you been talking with your spouse and your children? How is your relationship with one another? Do you make an effort to learn more about what's happening with the members of your family? Do you care about how your child is doing? How was his or her day at school? What has he or she been doing? Promote strong connections through good conversations. And so a good conversation doesn't work if you want to act uninterested or have a bad attitude. You have to, as I mentioned earlier, make eye contact, show interest, and use good body language that shows you're interested in what the child is telling you, in what they're saying to you, in what your partner decided to share with you at that moment. Your body communicates. So it's not enough to just have a good conversation or say you're interested if your expressions don't match what you're saying. That's why I mentioned earlier about eye contact and how important it is for you to establish a deeper connection with the other person. And even though sometimes our children's stories, right? Well, not in my case because I'm always interested in what my daughter does. But I know that sometimes in our daily lives, with all the rush and the tiredness, we can get a little stressed. And children's things might not seem, might not sound that important. But don't forget that building education, building the bonds you create at home happens in your daily life. So it's important that you make an effort because for sure you're creating and promoting a very healthy environment for that child, and she will benefit a lot from it in the future when she enters adulthood or pre-adolescence. And an excellent way for you to create a very practical connection, which I always mention to people who follow my work, you've probably already seen me talking about this, is setting a nice table. Every time you have the opportunity, set up a table. It doesn't have to be a very elaborate table, right? A very fancy table with lots of decorations isn't necessary, especially because many times children, depending on their age in your home, might not know how to handle glass items, for example. So it's important for you to make adjustments, but creating a good moment at the table makes all the difference for connection and building relationships within the family. Because in the end, meals are something that will happen at home anyway. So it's a very pleasant moment for you to promote this connection of teaching, good examples, right? Create good habits in your home, promote this connection through conversations, or even encourage good eye contact, showing empathy and interest in your family members. And you might ask me about how to set a table. How are you going to do it? Do you want to know a little more about table setting? Well, next I'm going to leave a video here that's a tutorial for you to set a table. I explained it step by step, and it will definitely make all the difference if you set this table and create a good moment with your family. Then come back here and tell me about it. I really want to know what your experience was like. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like it, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much.